wanted to ask you about the Recisions package. If you think the Senate changes the Recisions package at all, if that'll cause any issues in the House.
Oh, you sure it will. It'll be picked apart, I'm sure. I would think any changes would cause a lot of consternation on our side.
But ultimately, there's a deadline on this. The House may just be kind of jammed and forced to take whatever Recisions.
Yeah, the ridiculous thing about all this is that we don't get together. The House and the Senate don't just sit down at some point and say, what do y'all want? What do we want? Before we get into all this, to me it just seems it's poor planning, and we need to go back to school to learn our organizational skills a little better, I think.
Do you think the House would block the Recessions package, though, if the Senate made changes?
It just depends on the changes. I mean, if it's core value stuff, yeah.
And then on the Epstein files, I wanted to ask you if you think there's reason for Trump supporters to be angry with the administration over its handling of the Epstein files.
I'd just like to see the files turned over. As far as the list, I think Ms. Bondi misspoke. I don't know a lot of criminals, but the ones that I've studied usually don't keep a list around. So I would suspect that there's some trouble with the flight logs, because obviously somebody flies on this plane doesn't mean that they're a pedophile or doing anything illegal. It's what rich people do.
Do you support Bondi as the Attorney General?
I'm not a fan. I like Bongino.
If the Senate makes any changes, do you think that could cause problems in the House?
I think all of us in the House would love to see them be able to pass what we did. To me, it's an easy lift. I mean, I don't understand the opposition to, especially when we have $2 trillion annual deficits. And if you can ascribe to, and if anybody who is thinking about voting no has ever said that we've got to deal with the waste and inefficiencies in government, then what's your problem?
I wanted to ask about Recisions, whether you think the senators should make any changes to the Recisions package.
Well, whether they should or not, they're going to. The president's probably going to make a whole lot more. That's going to be the interesting point, because I believe that only requires a majority vote to pass. So the rescission process from the executive branch is going to be more interesting than the Senate, I think. I think it'll be more aggressive. We'll see how that plays out. I'm very interested to see it, but the people will speak because they all have representation, both in the House and the Senate. It's going to be very interesting to see what we do with the budget, because we still have a long ways to go. Everybody, the Democrats, are discussing how bad the deficit is all of a sudden. Now, their solution to that is much different than ours. They think this is a tax problem. I think it's a spending problem. If you look at how much money we're spending and how much we're bringing in, we're out of alignment with history, and we can't continue this. We're at a sweet spot, I think, in the Laffer curve, where if we increase taxes anymore, we end up with less revenue, which we've seen historically in a lot of tax problems. But we're going to have something that's going to have to be saved, both in mandatory and both in discretionary and non-discretionary spending. And if we don't fix that, what's the future of America?
If the Senate makes changes to the current Recisions request on PEPFAR or CPB, do you think that'll run into issues in the House passing the president's Recisions request?
I don't see the Senate as being more aggressive than the House. I think most of the things they do water down what we do. So I'm not worried about it being overly controversial. And the nice thing is we have say also. So there is that balance of power. It's very frustrating. Everybody gets mad why we don't change dramatically, but that's why democracy is frustrating. And when I came up here, I had to remind myself of that constantly. It's like people demand change. And matter of fact, there's two things that Americans hate: the way things are and change. Now, ironically, that's the frustrating thing about our democracy, is it was meant to be inefficient on purpose so things don't change so quickly. The most efficient form of government, of course, is a dictatorship or a monarchy or a theocracy where one person gets to call the shots. That's not how we are, and it never should be. That's why we need to bring back into balance of power both the executive branch as well as the House and the Senate, that we have that balance of power so that things don't change too rapidly. Because it's great when you're in power, but it's really bad when the other people are in power and they try to change things dramatically. So we need to make sure we're in balance.
Change of topic, but do you want to see the Epstein files released?
Of course. I like transparency. I think it's good for the country to believe that we have the truth that's self-evident.
Do you think Pam Bondi has made a mistake here? I
don't know the inner workings of what she had and what she didn't have. I don't know I hear we're being fully transparent, there just is no list. But then I hear other people that say there is. The truth is going to be coming out someday, hopefully. I hope this doesn't end up being another grassy knoll. But it's going to be interesting to see what plays out on this, because it's very difficult, even for a congressman who has top secret clearance, to find out what the truth is.
Do you think Trump supporters are justified in being angry with the administration over its handling of this Epstein case?
I don't, angry. We get angry about everything in politics nowadays. I think there's an expectation, and it doesn't matter if you're in a relationship or in politics, when the expectation is not fulfilled, people get disappointed at least. But I think there's realities that sometimes you think exist that don't. And then that's where the conspiracy theories come in and stuff like that. I don't know what's the truth yet. And until I know what the truth is, how can I be angry about something that people make assumptions all the time in government and relationships and everything, and they're disappointed. And that's going to happen in this case too. But until we know exactly what's available, it's hard to really know what her or anybody else in politics is supposed to provide, unless you. And I think there were some assumptions made, and that's human.
Do you have any issues with how the Trump administration handled the Epstein case?
I got confidence in President Trump and his team.
Okay. Did Pam Bondi mishandle anything now?
I got confidence in President Trump and his team.
Should Bongino resign or step down?
I got confidence in President Trump and his
But
team.
are you disappointed in the way that this has been handled? Even though you have confidence, are you disappointed in how they've gone about this?
Like I like Dan Bongino. I like Kash Patel, Pam Bondi, and Todd Blanche. What I know is the contrast between working with this Justice Department and this FBI compared to Mr. Garland and Mr. Wray is night and day. They've been so much easier to work with, and been helpful to our committee.
But
and so, as I said, I have
personally have questions about the Epstein case?
I have total confidence in President Trump and his team.
I wanted to ask about the rescissions package, if you want to see the Senate make any changes.
I think at the end of the day, we've got to find some smart ways to reduce government spending. Trimming government is part of what the American people expect us to do in Congress. And I think we've got a good, smart package of rescissions, and I hope to see the Senate pass that this week.
Okay. If they do make any changes, which it looks likely like they will do, could that imperil passage back in the House?
I don't think so. I think people in the House are ready to trim government, and if some adjustments are made, I think the House is going to be there to ensure that this passes and gets to the President's desk.
Can I ask what was discussed in there? Did the Speaker talk about more reconciliation bills and some messaging on OBB?
I think, when we're in conference, we like to keep things in the family, so I think that the focus is going to remain on making sure that we're delivering for the American people. We made campaign promises, and we intend to keep those promises. We're looking to continue to intelligently trim government spending. We're going to continue to look for opportunities to deliver wins for the average working family, and we're confident that we've done that so far, and we're going to continue to do that.
Okay. And then lastly, care to share any thoughts on the Trump administration's handling of the Epstein case? If you think there needs to be more disclosures, if you have any issues with how the administration's handled it?
I think the administration's done a great job in terms of ensuring that they are transparent with the American people. It's the first administration to fully release the JFK files, and I think that demonstrates their commitment to transparency. I would expect to see additional transparency going forward. I think the American people deserve that, and I would expect to see it over the next coming weeks and months.
But particularly as it relates to the Epstein case?
I think all that information, to the extent that it can be made public, needs to be made public.
Do you have any issues with how Pam Bondi has handled this? She had suggested in February that she had a client list sitting on her desk, but she wanted to...
I haven't really been tracking what's been happening with Pam Bondi's office. We've been focused on delivering wins for Alaska and for regular, everyday working families, and that's been the goal, and that's been the primary focus over the last 6 months.